Hey, Mark Schwartz from MTC Media. Hey, look, I know after back-to-back losses to Memphis and Colorado, everyone wants to scream, "What's wrong with UConn?" Honestly, nothing is wrong with UConn. Look, you go back-to-back, of course, once that three-peat starts creeping in, and then, of course, this is college basketball, so there are guys you're going to lose to graduation and other things. There's going to be guys who are going to have new roles. There's going to have guys that have more minutes, and Harley did not back off on scheduling. So they went out to Hawaii to play some heavyweights, and they've played some heavyweights. So yeah, they're playing in the last place game, but no one with any common sense is judging UConn by what they're doing now, right? And so when they get in the conference schedule, I mean, look at it. Look at the teams and how UConn was given problems, and then look at the Big East. All right, maybe a team like St. John's, Creighton, if they decide to defend, which they did not do against San Diego State. Um, and experience Xavier, those players are so old. AARP is blushing with admiration. So those type of teams, but when you start getting in the middle of the conference, the Butlers, Villanova, Georgetown, wherever you want to put those guys, I mean, come on. Hurley and UConn will be fine. Now, what they need to do is they need to understand that there are players there that did not have heavy contribution to the national championships that teams are taking out on, like, I don't care if you played a lot or you didn't. We're going to attack you. We're going to do those things. And Hurley and the staff, I mean, to be frank with you, they need to calm down a bit. I thought that it was just way too much overreaction in close games when you have guys in new roles, because those guys in new roles are feeding off of that coaching staff. Now, the last couple of years, he's been able to do it. I mean, because he had guys who had experience, who had a skill level, who had those things where, he could get fired up, they get fired up, and then they know how to get fired up and produce. Now you're getting fired up. You have some guys who are largely inexperienced, kind of looking over you saying, "Oh my goodness, should I be worried too?" Blah, blah, blah. So I think the coaching staff could help if they took a little step back and they didn't always behave in the way that they behave, even though I know that it's very hard to do that, especially when you've been successful, especially when you do want that three-peat. And this is why I admire Hurley so much. And I'm not saying that Donovan and Krzyzewski weren't the same way, but dadgummit, Hurley will tell you, well, listen, you daggum right, I'm going for three-peat. I'm not apologizing for it. I'm not giving you coach speak around it. I want that three-peat, and he has a really good team. Don't know if he has the best team. It's just one of those things. In November, had they matched up with Auburn probably would have beaten them. In March, maybe not. So it's those type of things. Can a team like Kansas beat them in March? Right now, Kansas could probably beat them. Could they beat them in March? And that's what UConn is marching towards. They're not going to have the record that they've had the last couple of years. We know that. But what they're marching towards is being at that right spot to make a 6-game run. Not to get out the first weekend to make a 6-game run. And it's just a different type of coaching when you do that. It's nothing to do with whether you're good or bad. I think you're good when you realize that and you're sort of willing to change things here and there to ramp up, knowing that the schedule of ramping up is a little bit different than it has been the last 2 years. That's called coaching. So I think Hurley will do that. Just calm down a little bit, but I think he'll do that. So I'm not worried about UConn yet. There's going to have to be some other things to happen before I'm worried about him. It's Marcus Washington, MTCB.